Well, hello there, AMG. We are live. We are live. Hello, folks. Well, hello there, my friends. Just barely starting here, and the internet is already misbehaving. Not a good start. Okay, so thank you, Spectrum. Great job, Spectrum. So there you go. Unfortunately, we don't get to choose our carrier, so look at this, going down again, and I'm wired. I'm not on Wi-Fi. Not on Wi-Fi. So unsteady. I can see it's I can see the signal is not steady, so just be patient, folks. Hopefully it'll work out. Zucked up Wi-Fi is what it is. Okay, so yeah, so we shall see here, and then on top of that, then I got to get a IP vanish ad as I go look at my broadcast. Puts me in a very bad mood all around. Hello, Fearlutzi. Hello, Paul. AMG, Storm Media, Twitty, Twist, Mint, and Tiremeyer, and whoever else is coming on to YouTube. Hello. So welcome to Signals dropping again. Zuck. Oh gosh, it's like is this how we're gonna start tonight here with such a bad signal? I almost feel like running, a speed test to see what the zuck is going on. 'Cause I want to know if it's my connection or the server. the server going down or it's my connection? I can't tell from this. Wires break. This is not wires. This is no. It's gyrating carefully. You could flip the script and you advertise. Maybe you could flip the script and you advertise on YouTube. What does that mean? Flip the script. There. Got to line it up to wherever the black area is. Okay, so there you go. Just bad news all around here with the Wi-Fi. So let's see if it somehow works. It's very unsteady. It's just going up and down. So anyway, we shall see. You know, I may have to do a restart here. This has been the last couple of days have been really, really bad. Maybe your power line adapters aren't working as well as expected. Yeah, one of the problems with the power line is a power surge. Like, you know, if something an appliance comes up like an air conditioner and it switches on, that causes a power surge that does interrupt the power line. So that I figured out. So one of the solutions is to turn off the appliances. It's power lines you can unplug and replug. I know, but I can't do it in the middle of a broadcast, and I'd have to, if that's the issue. So maybe I'll do a speed test while we're sitting here. And I'm just hold on. I just want to do a speed test while we're getting all the people in here, and then I'll see what's happening. Not the best. No. Yeah, I'm getting 50 megabits, which is wired. I mean, that's my upload speed is 6. It's the upload that's the problem here. It's very low. So that's not good. So it's the upload speed that's low. Upload is very low. So there we go. So we've isolated some of the areas here. It's an ISP problem then. The upload when you're doing videos, it's the upload speed that has to be high, and mine is very, very low for this time of day. So, and I have a 200 megabit connection. It's Zuck. You think funny thought. It's always Zuck. So anyway, hello, hold on. So okay, so hopefully it'll be steady enough to do a broadcast, and if we can squeeze in an hour in here, it would be nice. If we don't get through the full hour, we'll see how it goes, but hopefully we go through our usual couple hours, and we're going to talk about a continuation of what I talked about. Hello, Vanny 700. We're going to talk about a continuation of what we talked about yesterday, which was the MAC address. So yesterday we talked about the MAC address, but I want to expand that thought so you understand that the issue isn't just the MAC address. The issue is actually something more basic. And the most basic thing that is really at heart here is the Wi-Fi. So all of the spying in today's world since 2007 arrived because of Wi-Fi. And I'm going to give you a little bit of history so you understand this, and then now I'll tell you at the end of this what. Hello, Claire Peters. I will tell you at the end of this what the issue is and how it relates to our current devices, and why we need to have a different approach. And one of the things that one of the groups that companies that understand the issues that I'm talking about is purism. Purism, as I mentioned many, many times here, is releasing the Librem 5 phone, and it's the only phone with a hardware switch. And the hardware switch includes a hardware switch to the Wi-Fi, so you can turn the Wi-Fi off. You can actually have cell on and Wi-Fi off. Okay? So Wi-Fi is the issue we're going to talk about tonight, and here it is, the only device that actually says, yes, we recognize that there's a problem with Wi-Fi, so we're going to isolate the Wi-Fi. So Librem 5, what they did is they isolated the Wi-Fi into its own circuitry. It's not part of the same board. They actually made it to a separate add-on little device, and with that, they put a power switch, so then you can turn off the zucking Wi-Fi. And they understand the issue. And a lot of these people who supposedly are information security experts, cybersecurity experts all over the internet are saying, well, we can sell you some hardened device with a hardened phone, and we can take care of your security with, we'll give you a black phone, all of this crap. And it's like, do you really understand what the threat is? So of all the many threats, one of them is very basic. And last week or a couple of weeks ago, I was talking to you about the threat with the cell baseband. And I was talking about Stingray and all the different ways that you can get a carrier update and how you can flash the section of the baseband, that's the cell portion of your computer. Hello, Pat's fan. Cell portion of your phone, and how somebody could put arbitrary code in there, including those who use Stingray. And if you can put arbitrary code in the baseband, then you can basically take over a phone, and the only way to fix that would be to brick it, because there's no other way to access the baseband. So, because that's how zucked up it is. So now I'm not going to talk about the baseband. I'm going to talk about specifically the next issue, which is the Wi-Fi. And the Wi-Fi is built into your phone. So on a typical iPhone or Android, the Wi-Fi is actually part of the phone board, just like the baseband. On your Intel computers, the Wi-Fi, there's an Intel Wi-Fi built into the laptop. So if you get a laptop like mine here, the Intel Wi-Fi is actually embedded in it. If you have a Raspberry Pi, there's also a embedded Wi-Fi. So practically every device now has an embedded Wi-Fi. Back in the day, in the 1990s and so on, early 2000s, you'd have to buy a Wi-Fi card or USB, and you stick it into your USB. And that's how you would put, let's say, Wi-Fi on a desktop. And then they said, no, we can save you money. We can lower the cost of production. We're going to put the Wi-Fi on the boards. So practically now, you can't buy anything without the Wi-Fi on the board. It must have been hard for Purism when they were making the Librem 5 to say, can you give me a chip without any Wi-Fi on the board? They probably had a hard time trying to figure that out because you can't escape it. They always put Wi-Fi in the board. Now, things had changed. Hello, I'm in it. So times have changed, and those of us who know how to hack have understood some of the features of Wi-Fi early on that we know, and the two features that we're aware of as a hacker. So if we use Kali Linux, for example, we are aware of two features that are important to our discussion tonight. These are some of the things that you can do with a Wi-Fi adapter. The two things are, one is called promiscuous mode, and the other is called monitor mode. So anyone who uses Kali Linux, Wireshark, any of these hacking tools, or InfoSec tools, they don't have to be used for hacking. They can be used for diagnosis of a network. If you use some of these devices, then you know that you can actually, back in the day, you can access special features of the radio. This is what we're really talking about. It's the radio portion of the Wi-Fi. You can access the raw behavior of the radio through these modes called monitor mode and promiscuous mode. Back in the day, in the early part of the 2000s, the only way to get those features was to actually buy a special Wi-Fi card that enabled monitor mode and promiscuous mode, and that was not available for all. In fact, the commercial Wi-Fi didn't have that, and so if you're a hacker, you had to buy a special one from a company. I know there's connection issues before, but it should be better now. The Wi-Fi. See, now I lost my train of thought here. So the original Wi-Fi did not have promiscuous mode and monitor mode, except for a company that makes them, and that company was Alpha, A-L-F-A. So today, if you want to, if you're back in the day when you're a hacker and you said, "Oh, I want to use some special features that uses monitor mode and promiscuous mode, so I can hack networks and hack Wi-Fi," then I need a special device that has promiscuous mode and monitor mode. And the company that sells that is called Alpha, A-L-F-A. So Alpha makes those cards. You plug them into a PC. Well, lo and behold, somebody said, we need some special features on these cards so we can track people. So starting in, I'm going to guess 2007, they started to put special features on the devices that the iPhones got, and practically every mobile device since 2007, when Android and Apple and all those first few phones came out. And what they did is they built in promiscuous mode into every zucking Wi-Fi chip from then on. So from then on, since 2007, every device, slowly, they didn't all start in 2007, but any new device made since 2007 or so started to have promiscuous mode loaded on the Wi-Fi. So the Wi-Fi opened up. It did a lot more tricks than they could do before. And the purpose of promiscuous mode, as I will explain in a moment, has to do with tracking you and tracking your whereabouts. And promiscuous mode is one of them. Now, in later years, they actually now, many cards can do monitor mode. And monitor mode is how a hacker can actually listen into the network and hello Mamagoo and spot you based on your Wi-Fi. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So going back to the basics here, a Wi-Fi adapter, which is now embedded, hello Lenny PR, it's now embedded on the board of your devices. So this device has Wi-Fi embedded on it. And just so you just get a picture of it, I call it a Wi-Fi adapter because back in the day, it was actually separate. It's a Wi-Fi adapter and you plug it in to your computer. But now it's embedded on the board, so it's just a Wi-Fi chip. So the Wi-Fi chip is embedded on this. And let me just explain what the Wi-Fi chip is. So in case you didn't guess this, and I think it should be obvious, a Wi-Fi chip is a radio chip. A Wi-Fi is radio. The first version of 802.11 standard was using 2.4 gigahertz. So the original Wi-Fi was using 2.4 gigahertz, and you were familiar with 802.11n, 802.11g, and all of those standards that allowed you to access the Wi-Fi using they now renamed, instead of calling it 802.11a, NGC, and all this now, they're just calling it WLAN. So WLAN is the standard. So WLAN 2. If this were a college course, what would it be called? Hacking. Hacking 101. Okay, so It's important to understand what this will come out to, because the intent of me explaining this in detail is to tell you that you are walking around with an I spy device. The Wi-Fi is spying. So I spy the Wi-Fi. So your Wi-Fi's all have built-in little radios. Now, common sense, if you think about this, the fact that you have a radio walking around, anytime the radio transmits, so this has your phone has actually several radios, in case you didn't know. So we're going to talk about the several radios. There could be as many as 4 signals coming out of here, and typically 3. So the first radio signal is coming out of your cell phone. So your cell phone is sending out a signal to talk to your cell carrier, and that's radio. And that radio signal, that RF energy, is coming out of the baseband chip on your phone, and that's going out on the cell baseband frequency, which is typically in America in the 800 to 900 megahertz range. So that's where the cell signal goes through. GPS is a receiver, not a transmitter. Lenny PR. I'm only talking about transmission. Transmission, because you're receiving GPS. You're not transmitting a GPS. GPS is passive. Okay, next coming out of your phone is the Wi-Fi. So your Wi-Fi has a radio transmitting around 2.4 gigahertz for the 2.4 gigahertz range, and then you have the 5 gigahertz as well for those that use that type of connection. Like most of us probably use the 5 gigahertz now. So you have 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz all coming out of your phone. Then on top of that, you got your Bluetooth. So your Bluetooth is also sending out a signal. That's low power. Bluetooth is a low power signal, also radio, but low power. And then there's a receiver in addition to that Lenny PR mentioned, and that's a GPS. So this is a GPS. There's also an infrared transmitter on some of these. So the infrared may be included. There's also possibly an RFID receiver and RFID transmitter on those of you with newer iPhones and Androids, and that's for using Apple Pay and so on. So there's RFID also. There's so much. Basically, this device has so many radios on it. It's amazing that the battery never runs out. It actually is quite amazing as far as technology goes, because they've squeezed in the GPS, the infrared, the RFID, the Wi-Fi, the Bluetooth, and the cell baseband all into this one thing. So there's a lot. But the problem is that all of those things that I just mentioned also emit a signal, and that signal is what is used to spy on us. So we're going to focus today only on the Wi-Fi portion of this, only on the Wi-Fi portion tonight. So the Wi-Fi is sending out a signal in the 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz range, as you are all aware. Even the least techie of you know it's 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz. So you know that. If you have 5G in the future, that will transmit at a higher frequency, likely in the 20 to 40 gigahertz range. So that's coming out later on. But in the meantime, we are transmitting Wi-Fi at 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz. Now, one of the things that your phone does is send out a signal on 2.4 on the Wi-Fi frequencies, as well as receive signals on the Wi-Fi frequencies. So first, let's talk about your Wi-Fi router, meaning your access point. What does your Wi-Fi router do? So your Wi-Fi router has a radio, and the Wi-Fi router, even including this Raspberry Pi right here, has a radio, the WLAN Wi-Fi radio, and it's sending out a signal at 2.4 or 5 gigahertz. In this case, what you choose to have it send out, And what's happening when it's sending out the 2.4 and 5 gigahertz, it is announcing itself. So every access point, in order for this Wi-Fi protocol or WLAN protocol to work, all of your routers are announcing themselves with this WLAN protocol saying, I'm a access point. And my SSID, or my network name, which is called SSID, is Rob's house. And this is my MAC address. I told you about the MAC address yesterday. Hello, Joe. So a MAC address is the serial number of the device. So I'm announcing, yes, I'm a access point with the name Rob's house, with the MAC address of 1234556. Okay, so that's my access point. Thank you, Joe. Okay, so there you go. That's the access point is announcing that at least once a second, maybe more often. So access points are very actively beeping this and saying, "Hey, anyone walking around, I'm an access point. I'm an access point, and I'm my SSID is this. My MAC address is this." Now back in the early 2007, 2006, 2007 time period, Google said, "Do you know what? We can discover a lot of data with this access point announcing itself every second with its MAC address every second. That's really great stuff. You know, why don't we come up with a way to spy on people by seeing if we can track the routers?" So in fact, this is what they did. So back in those days, Google started this, and then another company started it. That company was then purchased by Apple. So the two big companies that started this tracking of Wi-Fi first started with Google Street View cars. So a Street View car, you thought, many of you thought, that when you have a Street View car, that all they do was drive around and take a picture of your street. No. On top of the Street View car is a sucking Wi-Fi antenna. And the antenna, as they were driving around the street, they were actually saying, "Hey, are there any access points out there?" So it would send out a probe and say, "Are there any access points out there?" And they would announce themselves, and yes, I'm over here. And this is my signal strength, and this is my MAC address. So basically, Google then, from the Street View car and the GPS location of the Street View car, recorded the signal strength, the MAC address, and the SSID, or the name of the network, on each of these routers, and they drove around all over town until they captured every Wi-Fi in existence in the United States. And they did this for many, many years. And then they did it in India. Then they did it in Europe. And they did it everywhere until every place has a stored Wi-Fi access point, their MAC address, and their GPS location. That is now, thank you, JM. So now this is a database of access points. So that's how they used to do it. And then, of course, they said, that's inefficient. We don't want to drive around and capture Wi-Fi addresses, Wi-Fi locations that way, because people change hardware all the time. Every few years, you're going to get a new router. So what's the solution? So Google and Apple said, "Hey, why don't we let our own devices track the Wi-Fi?" So what they did then is they took these Androids, this is an Android, this is a Nexus, and they said, okay, why don't we put a chip in here, meaning the Wi-Fi chip, with something called promiscuous mode. Promiscuous mode is when it starts detecting access points and looking at the radio signals to see if this thing can listen to the radio signals and say, Yes, I detect access points in promiscuous mode. So this is a feature that did not used to exist in Wi-Fi adapters, and they added it to every single Wi-Fi adapter ever, Wi-Fi chip ever issued since 2007, so they can have access to promiscuous mode. So instead of doing the Street View car, every zucking Android device is actually a spy. Every single Android device spies the network and says, using promiscuous mode, says, give me a report of all of the Wi-Fi's in existence and I want to see it. Now, this is something that you can easily do on your laptop. Here's one. I use this program called Wi-Fi Analyzer, and there it is. It lists all the Wi-Fi's in the area using promiscuous mode because it's built into my laptop as well. Every new computer has all this now. This used to be not available, but now every computer and every modern computer in the last decade has promiscuous mode. You can see it there. Okay? So, and there's Promiscuous Monkey Man. Promiscuous Monkey Man is right there. But promiscuous mode is built into every network. So if every device has promiscuous mode, it will be no big deal for it to say, get me a list of all the Wi-Fi's in the area and their signal strength. And then I'll send it to Apple and Google with the GPS location of my device, my phone. So now, using something called some math, they do some mathematics, and using signal strength and relative signal strength relative to other Wi-Fi's, you can actually derive, using a mathematical equation, how far the access point is from where you are just by relative positions of Wi-Fi's. And this is crowdsourced. Every single device in existence is roaming around the country tracking Wi-Fi's every single zucking day. Okay? Now, a company called Skyhook Wireless actually still drives around in Street View kind of cars. They actually still drive around with cars and take because they don't have access to every Android. So they take every car and then they put the wireless info from the Street View cars and store it into their database manually. So, but Google has it in a very inefficient way because all they have to do is let people with an Android, there's enough people with Android, and the people with Android can then report the location of every access point. So, to make this clear to you folks, every single access point in existence is being detected by my device right here, my device right here, my device right here, and reporting it to Apple and Google. So if you bought a new router and you turn it on, within seconds, it will get reported to Apple and Google. So that's the number one spy thing that's happening. Okay? So they actually have a record of every zucking Wi-Fi router and where it is. So if you have your own Wi-Fi router, they know where it is. They know it's in your house. So that not bother you? It doesn't bother a lot of people. It's like, okay, so they know where my router is. Okay, so now, if they know where your router is, the next question is, where are you in relation to the router? Since you are the one doing promiscuous mode, you can then say, well, I am this signal strength from that router, and I have this signal strength to the other router. Then they can use that to do the reverse computation, which is to find out where you are. So because you have promiscuous mode, not only does your phone report the routers around you, by reverse mathematics, they can say, what is your exact location based on the promiscuous mode data? And that reveals your location within 6 zucking feet. This is what I've been talking about with location mode and how you cannot stop the location unless you turn off the Wi-Fi. So if you want to stop your location tracking from occurring on your phone, the only way to do it is to turn off the Wi-Fi, electrically turning it off, take off the battery, or have a Librem 5 phone which has a hardware switch, or put this in a Faraday bag so it doesn't emit any RF. That is the only way not to get tracked with promiscuous mode. And you can see this is terrible because you can't even use your phone. If you pull out your phone, it's tracking. And we have no escape right now. It's disgusting. I can't stop them from tracking me. Okay, so I can't stop. I'm being tracked. You're being tracked. If I bring it with me, then I'm being tracked. And it's disgusting. And I want to stop giving them the data. But, I have to wait for the device to be available. Okay? So what is the light bulb moment there, Enlighten Up? What did you just discover? So now, this is just one piece. There's more. So I told you yesterday about the MAC address of your phone, but that's separate. I'm only talking about the location tracking. So the Wi-Fi is used to track you location-wise because of this thing called promiscuous mode. And anyone who does Wireshark, you just you go into Wireshark. Wireshark is the packet sniffer for networks, and you type on there and you say turn on promiscuous mode, and then I can see all the access points and see what's up with the access points. And that information is what's being derived and pulled by Google to do the location tracking. Now, this developed further because some of this code, they want this to be a lot simpler. So Skyhook, the company Skyhook, that is one of the early people to get into location tracking using your Wi-Fi. It's called Wi-Fi triangulation. They actually say, well, we're going to put the location tracking in firmware. Firmware, meaning let's put it on the chip. So the Skyhook code apparently is in the Broadcom Wi-Fi chip. Now, I don't know what that model is on your Android, but as far as I know, the Wi-Fi chip that's on this, I specifically know, the Wi-Fi chip that is on your iPhone has a Broadcom Wi-Fi, and the logic for Wi-Fi triangulation and location tracking, promiscuous mode, is built into the firmware of the Apple Wi-Fi. So it's on here. Now, Google may have its own version of that they may have put into their own firmware, or maybe it's in the software of the operating system. I don't actually know where they put it. I only know that it's on the Broadcom firmware because Skyhook said so. There's no way for us, unless we're, examining each device, and we don't know. These are trade secrets. We don't know exactly what they're doing here. So on an Android, I don't actually know where the logic is. It's in the Android, and I haven't looked at the Android code. It's in the Android code. Is it in the ROM? Is it in the firmware for the chip? I don't actually know, but it's somewhere in there. It's somewhere in there. So the problem is, as I already indicated to you, that on an Apple device, an iOS device, it's actually on the chip. Meaning you can't turn it off. How do you fucking turn it off? So you say, well, I'm going to turn off by using airplane mode. Sorry, that doesn't do it. Because it's on the firmware. Airplane mode is on the OS, the operating system. The operating system simply ignores or does not send a transmission to the Wi-Fi. It doesn't mean the Wi-Fi doesn't work. It's still working. It's receiving. And it just, as it turns out, I don't even know what airplane mode does because it's actually transmitting in an airplane. In general, how can I tell if my VPN is protecting my connection? Wolfie USA, you go to, I don't know which VPN you have. If you have my VPN, you go to brax.me IP check. And that tells you. Otherwise, you know by IP address. You say, what is my IP address? And if your IP address is not your home address, your home IP, then it must be working. Okay, so anyway, back to what I'm saying, and I really hope you understand what this all means. So basically, the Wi-Fi is transmitting the Wi-Fi is transmitting, or not transmitting your location, but transmitting the location of the access points around you to Apple and Google, and that's how they derive your location. So everywhere you go, your device radio is sensing where the access points are, and that information is taken by Apple and Google and sent to Apple and Google on the wires, and there you get your location data, or I mean, Apple and Google get your location data. Now, let's talk about airplane mode for a moment, because some of you actually have the incorrect idea of what airplane mode is, and just to make sure this is very clear to you, there was a study made 5 years ago, which I'll refer to tonight, and some researchers actually took a bunch of iPhones and Androids and so on, and actually tried to see, because this is proprietary trade secret information. We don't actually know what happened, so I'm going to tell you what they found out. So your phone, the way Wi-Fi works, it's not like it's not like passive that it just sits there and well, let me explain again. Access points are broadcasting, hey, I'm this and this access point. This is my SSID, or my network name. Sorry about the connection dropping here. This is my network name. Looking at it, seeing if it's not going to drop. Hello, Retta. Okay, this is my network name, and this is my MAC address. So this is constant. It sends this out every second or so. Okay, so how are you doing, Retta? So anyway, going back to your phone. Let's say you put your phone into what is that mode where you share your like a MiFi? What's hotspot? If you put your phone in hotspot mode, then your phone has to now send the same signal saying I'm an access point. Okay, I just want to understand. I want you to understand what's happening. This phone normally does not ping at that frequency, very, very frequent rate if it's just a client. But if it's an access point, it will then send out this constant signal. So if you want to measure it, and you have a spectrum analyzer or an RTL SDR or some sort of sensor, says, I am well, don't join you anymore. I don't want you to spy on me. Yes, I will spy on you because you don't buy my VPN. So anyway, when you go in hotspot mode, then this thing starts to broadcast and ping and say, I'm over here. So you can actually try that. Go to hotspot mode and it will start pinging. Now, this active pinging, which is very, very frequent if it's an access point, is different from your client phones when you are not an access point. So let's say this is just a regular phone. So Redamore's phone, the regular phone, he carries in his pocket, it's still pinging. And I bet you that Reda has an Android. Why do I think that? I don't know why, but he's an Android kind of guy. Okay? So I'm going to tell you that the Android phone is actually pinging that you are looking for a network at least once a second. If you are on an Android, it's pinging out, even if you're not using it, even if you're not using it, even if you're in airplane mode. I want to make sure we're clear here. If you're out on the airplane, as Redamore is flying to Morocco and his phone is on airplane mode. And remember, in airplane mode, you're not supposed to be transmitting, right? This is why it's so crazy. Airplane mode, your phone is not supposed to be transmitting. Yet, we find out that if you have an Android, your phone is transmitting just as often with airplane mode as without it. The researchers have found that your phone is actually still transmitting in airplane mode. Obviously, it's receiving, so it's receiving the promiscuous mode, so meaning location can still be tracked because even in airplane mode, because nothing turns that off. It's at the chip level. So your phone is transmitting and receiving in airplane mode. So let's say you're Snowden and you say, well, I have a phone and I want to be safe. I'm like, where's Tony? Tony, bunch of numbers. He's always saying how secure he is because he knows what he's doing. So Tony goes around saying, I'm secure because I put my phone in airplane mode. I'm going to laugh at you. Because what does airplane mode do? Nothing. Airplane mode prevents you from connecting to the network, but your phone is still transmitting. Okay? Your phone is transmitting. If it's an Android, every second. If it's an iPhone and you're not using it, it will transmit every few minutes, 3 minutes, and then it actually changes. It's kind of a as time goes by, it transmits less often to save on battery. So, but if you turn it on, so anytime the screen is on, it starts going back to the once every second. So if you have an iPhone and it's on, meaning the screen is on, that's one every second. If you put it in your pocket and don't use it, then it slows down and up to several minutes before it transmits. So anyone with an Android, the transmission rate with airplane mode on or off doesn't make any difference. It's constant. Yes, there's a problem with the connection on occasion. There's a problem with the connection on occasion. Yes, Kelp, messed up. I think it's my, clearly it's my, I just did a speed test right now and my upload speed is very low. I'm getting an upload of only 6 megabits per second, which is very low considering what I'm paying for. So there's something wrong. Maybe I have to reboot my, my router every time I do a broadcast. I may have to reboot my router, reboot my power line before I do a broadcast. I'll remember that from then on. Hello, Joanne. Okay, so you understand now that what you've been told is actually wrong. The airplane mode doesn't do anything. So airplane mode will reveal your location because it doesn't turn off promiscuous mode. Airplane mode will ping out every second, which means it's using battery, and it's sending out a signal every second or longer if you don't have if you have an iPhone. Okay? So yes, Wolfie. So you understand now what I'm talking about. It's a little bit more complex. Now, I'm gonna now go to what I was talking about yesterday, so you understand how this is used in other ways. So, for those of you who don't know this, your device announces itself on the radio. This is built into the way it runs at the firmware level. Your phone, the way it works with WLAN or the Wi-Fi protocol, is that it actually goes out there and announces these are the things it may announce. I'm going to tell you right now. So your phone, every second, if it's an Android, it will announce every second that this is your MAC address. So this is announcing its MAC address, believe it or not. It's announcing its MAC address. If it's an Android, every second, every time you pick up your phone, it's active, and it's an iPhone, it will start announcing every second as well. So an iPhone is a little bit more secure in the sense that it doesn't announce the MAC address if it's sitting in your pocket and you haven't touched it, except once every few minutes. But if it's an Android, it persists. It's an Android, Google wants to spy on you. So it wants to spy on you more often. So if you have an Android, it is gonna transmit very, very frequently. The researchers now this research is several years old, so they may have changed, and maybe they transmit even more often. So often they actually find that it does multiple transmits within 1 second. So we'll actually do a burst and send multiple signals in 1 second. And one of the signals is not only that it sends out your MAC address, it will also say, hey, is this network over there? Are you around? Is Rob's house, SSID Rob's house, are you in the neighborhood? It actually seeks out actively any active Wi-Fi's in the area by name. So if it's one of your favorite Wi-Fi's, it actually sends that signal out as well. So there's two signals it sends. It sends out the signal of, I'm here for any Wi-Fi, and then I prefer the Rob's house Wi-Fi, and so I want to know if that's around. So it's sending this signal constantly. So to most of you, you're like saying, well, so what? Well, if some of you don't know this, I'm going to repeat this, but I have a ham license. So, I do understand radio, and, you know me talking about ham radio and all that over here, and I'm talking about the WLAN radio. And what you need to understand is that the phone is sending out a digital signal on 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz in a format that is the WLAN packet format, which has the MAC address and whatever request it's wanting to make, like looking for specific AP or not. And that announcement Sorry. I saw that it dropped there. Sorry. Sometimes I gotta look down and I see it's dropping, and if I'm not paying attention to it. So now I'm forced to kind of look at the little signal that tells me if the broadcast is running. But at least we got to an hour here. So anyway, while I'm looking at the signal strength there. Okay, so just to explain again. So your LAN is actually, your phone is sending out a signal and announcing itself in a radio packet, digital radio packet. By digital, it means it's sending a bunch of tones, typically, or frequency. There's several ways of doing this, of how they send digital signals. But one of the ways is just, having different frequency tones, and that's one of the ways it's done, and that is now sending out on the network your MAC address. So without your knowledge, your phone is broadcasting its MAC address as often as once every second, and if it's an Android, even multiple times a second. If it's an iPhone, it at least once a second, not at least, but as often as once a second, and sometimes up to several minutes on an iPhone. This means if I have a device that can listen into the radio waves at 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz, I can find out if your MAC address is around. So I can build a Raspberry Pi for you with the software to track MAC addresses near you. I could easily build this. Put the software to do the MAC address tracking on a Raspberry Pi. And anybody approaches my house, I can see, I see this MAC address approaching. And then I can label that and say, I know who that is. That MAC address is somebody in my family. I recognize that. That must be the mailman. So I can actually recognize people by radio as they're approaching me without them even crossing my door. That's the magic of MAC addresses. Now, that could be used against you as well. Hello, Night Eyes. That can be used against you as well. Kumar, Roll Kumar, burner phones app. Well, it's not gonna. What's a burner phone app going to do? That's not gonna be revealing. It'll be voice over IP. Okay. Yeah. Let me think about that. It's actually not a burner phone in a sense because it would be voice over IP. Rob has the video ready. No, he's talking about not a physical phone, but a burner phone app. I don't know if I trust him though. There's several on the App Store. I'm not sure I would trust those necessarily, but there's going to be the one built into the Librem 5 using Matrix. So we shall see. Okay, I will research. I'll put that on my research list. Burner phone apps. Not burner phones physically, but burner phone apps. But that doesn't matter. You're going to use a burner phone app, and you're going to be using a phone that's being tracked anyway. So how would that help you? So I'm hiding with a burner phone app, but I'm being tracked on my iPhone. So I don't know. You know what I mean? We're not aware. You got to think of this globally here. You know, if your phone is tracking you anyway, what's the burner phone app hiding? Yeah, it's hiding you from whoever you're talking on the burner phone, but other parties know exactly that you used the burner phone app at that exact moment. So I don't know. You have to really think about this globally. And we have a problem because we're not really understanding the technology. This is why I'm trying to explain this. We're not understanding the technology. Many of you don't even understand exactly what airplane mode does. Many of you don't understand what airplane mode is. You think airplane mode is just, allows you actually turn off your Wi-Fi on your phone when it actually doesn't do anything. It's funny. So airplane mode simply says you will not be allowed to make a call. You will not be allowed to connect to Wi-Fi, but otherwise the phone can do everything itself independently, and airplane mode isn't going to stop it. That's pretty crazy. Yes, please get a YouTube account, Cactus Sparkle. Please, I would appreciate it. Thank you, AMG. Thank you so much for contributing to the cause. Thank you so much. Thank you. So appreciate the super chats here on YouTube. I really appreciate that. Rob, will your Faraday bags be ready for Christmas gift giving? I have a link. Thank you, Cactus Sparkle. It's Brooks Brothers. They charge a lot of money for these. What means that means the Microsoft is also spying? Of course, Daniel. Is that yes? Of course, they're spying on you on your laptop as well. Yes, because it has Wi-Fi, and anytime there's Wi-Fi, yes, they are. How do you think your computer is finding your location? Wi-Fi triangulation, same exact technique. So yes, if you have power on, Wi-Fi sending the same. It's not any different with a phone or a computer. It's the same thing. The only way to protect yourself is if the Wi-Fi weren't built into the motherboard and you can actually pull the Wi-Fi out. Well, they don't have that anymore. Nobody sells computers without Wi-Fi on the, nobody sells a laptop with the Wi-Fi not on there. Every laptop has Wi-Fi. So we're kind of zocked, Maybe you can build a desktop with a motherboard that doesn't have Wi-Fi, but for the most part, Wi-Fi is built into every portable device. So we have been zocked. So your portable device is announcing itself with a MAC address. Now, let me just tell you a little technical fact here for hackers. If I want to listen in to all MAC addresses being announced by the Wi-Fi adapter. That announcement can be spotted by a special LAN card that has monitor mode. Okay, so now there are two modes to a that hackers use on a device. So if you're running Kali Linux and you're gonna run this software called Aircrack and some hardware called Air PCAP, and there's some other variations of this. There's actually software that you can run that will take advantage of a device that has monitor mode. Monitor mode. Okay? So monitor mode means it can listen in to the radio. It actually gives you access to the raw data on the radio. That's called monitor mode. And anyone with Kali Linux knows these tools using Aircrack NG and so on. Okay? So Airmon NG, and all these little Kali Linux tools, these actually access the monitor mode on a LAN card. Not all LAN cards have monitor mode. So not all LAN cards have drivers for monitor mode. So if you're running Linux, I believe it can access monitor mode. If you're running Windows, I don't think they give you access to monitor mode. So I don't think you can access a monitor mode directly with a built-in Wi-Fi on your Windows computer. But if you have a external device that you plug into the USB, I believe it will give you monitor mode. So the two modes that are found in every Wi-Fi LAN, one is called promiscuous mode, the other one is called monitor mode. Monitor mode is for the hacker. So monitor mode is not something that you all have access to, but it's built into every Linux computer, Linux Wi-Fi. So this little Raspberry Pi has monitor mode. So if I program that Raspberry Pi, it can listen into MAC addresses using monitor mode and see if anyone is approaching me with their phone, because then I can sense the MAC addresses of anyone nearby. And I can record it and then tag. I can tag that. Now, the software for doing this is pretty, command line kind of stuff. It's not made for average people to track. But one of these days, when I have the time, I'd like to write a piece of software to give you the ability to. This is actually useful. If I'm going to track and see if people are approaching me, including bad guys, it might be nice to have a monitor mode alarm. Actually identify people as they approach and pre-announce you based on MAC address. So if they're approaching your house, you say, such and such, my neighbor is approaching my house. You can actually tag anyone that comes into your house. You can pre-tag a MAC address, and it will actually you can actually build a little app and a little device that will maybe send you a notification on your phone that says, I'm finding this little MAC address over here. I'm just demonstrating to you that if I can write that, wow, it tells you that somebody can do this at a much more global level. Somebody can say how many times you've been to Walmart. Somebody can say how many times you've been to the doctor's office. Somebody can say if you ever pass a particular intersection. Somebody can say, did you enter this federal office, this government building? Somebody can put it in the supermarket and say, okay, our customer's back again, and track you by MAC address and see how often a customer visits if you want to do like shopping patterns and so on. This is the ultimate in spying that could already be being done. And Randy Horton told you that he's selling this kind of hardware to the Saudi Arabian government, and this kind of hardware that he sells can track MAC addresses. And I can build one. This is something that certainly I can build. That reminds me, is there an update to the new WPA? No, that has been delayed because somebody hacked WPA 3. Okay? So Mad Cow, basically, since you don't even need to get chipped, simply by walking around anywhere, your chip is announcing your phone is announcing your chip ID. You know, many feet away. So 30, 40, 50 feet away, maybe even further away, your phone is announcing that I'm over here. This is my digital ID. Can you imagine? You know, you say you. Some of you are actually thinking, "Oh, I'm gonna make, I'm gonna, get into this building and nobody's gonna know who I am." And I'm trying to think to myself, this is kind of interesting. So if a burglar is gonna go into a house, and if I have a MAC address detector, I might actually be able to find the MAC address of the burglar. Wouldn't that be interesting? And if that burglar has I already explained airplane mode. I'll explain it again for you. So when you go into Facebook, as you know, I told you this yesterday. Facebook records all the MAC addresses it finds when you have a Facebook app. This is one of the most disturbing things I can tell you. If anyone in your family has a sucking Facebook app and arrives at your house, that device will track the MAC addresses of everyone in that house, probably with a GPS location. And it will say, at this GPS location, we found all these MAC addresses. That means that Facebook has a repository of MAC addresses, and possibly this burglar will have its MAC address in the Facebook database. Facebook is the only company that has this kind of spread and breadth that can actually capture everyone's MAC address. So do not ever install the Facebook app if you want to have some sort of privacy, and you should put a sign on your sucking door that says you cannot use my network if you have Facebook. Now, they have to be on your network to use the command called ARP to find out who you are. So if you don't share your network ID, then they're not going to get it. If you have my VPN router, that is one way to protect yourself. The VPN router that I sell, not this device, but the VPN router. If you have a VPN router, your friends and family that come and visit you, they can use that router, and they will not only go through a VPN, which will insulate your IP address, but they will also be blocked from sharing the MAC address. So, VPN router. Now, although I already said this operandi, is it operandi? Operandi, yes. Operandi, I already said this. I'm going to repeat it again for you. Okay, airplane mode does nothing. Nothing. Let me repeat that. Airplane mode does nothing. So, researchers, again, to repeat my story here, researchers have actually measured. Sorry, dropped again. Okay, researchers have measured the activity, the land probing, transmission, and receiving of your device when it's on airplane mode, and they found no difference in the amount of traffic and probing with airplane mode on or off. Yes, operandi, that is the or think about getting a Librem 5 phone, which has a hardware switch. The only way to stop this is with a hardware switch or a Faraday bag. Faraday bag or hardware switch. That's the only way to stop this. And unfortunately, how to use your phone if it's in a Faraday bag. So if you're using a Librem 5, you can actually turn off the Wi-Fi. If I have a Librem 5 phone, I'm really excited about this Librem 5 phone because it's the only one that can do this. If I have a Librem 5 phone, I will actually turn off the Wi-Fi when I'm not at home. So I turn off the Wi-Fi when I'm not at home, and I'll use the Wi-Fi when I'm at home. So by turning off the Wi-Fi when I'm not home, then it can't track me using Wi-Fi triangulation. So the only way to track me is by GPS and by cell tower. So if I turn off the GPS as well, then obviously they won't get that precise information. And the cell tower, if I'm expecting messages, text messages, maybe I leave that on. So you can be selective here, because most of the most accurate spying is actually on the LAN, the WLAN, the Wi-Fi. It's the cell signal is doing cell tower tracking, and it's limited only to the cell company or to the law enforcement agencies. They can track you. They have tools for tracking using Stingray. So Stingray and all that is used by law enforcement. So if you want to allow law enforcement and the cell signal to come in, you switch on the cell to be on, and you turn off the Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi is actually the most dangerous one. And at the moment, there's no device other than Librem 5 that allows you to switch off the Wi-Fi. You cannot switch it off with airplane mode. So that's why. Now, some of you will not like a Librem 5 because it will not run your favorite apps. So if you're really into these apps, then don't worry. Stay with your current platform and be spied on. Because which video has the Faraday link? I believe the flip phone one does. I'm going to put the Faraday link over here too. I believe the flip phone video has the Faraday link. After the broadcast, I'm going to put the Faraday Bag link from Amazon here as well. So one of my phones has grayed out Wi-Fi and still broadcast to the surrounding devices. Yes, Mad Cow, the OS is the one graying it out, but the firmware in the Wi-Fi chip is the one handling the transmission. It's independent of the OS. This is what I've been trying to tell you, that the OS itself does not have any control. So some of you are like, this is why some of you are thinking you're experts because you say, well, I can install a custom ROM rooted Android using Lineage OS or Graphene OS or some other OS that you think is secure. But unless you have a way of turning off the Wi-Fi, this is like even the most basic thing that's tracking you. The Wi-Fi alone can track locations, can track your movements with the MAC address. And this is one thing that you may not know about, that there's actually a way, there's a researchers actually figured out that they can use Wi-Fi as radar. They can actually go scan your house. They can actually go scan your house and see how many people are on there. Yes, I have a business now. It's this, Monkey Man. So the somebody can actually track who's in the house based on Wi-Fi. So this is the device I'm selling. It's going to be available. It's already done. There's no need for investors. So we're already producing it. This will be shipping out in October, which is coming soon, in 3 weeks or so. And this is an alarm system. There's also a camera system that's part of this, but this is the alarm portion. It's very simple. When you leave your house or apartment in New York, Monkey Man, just
alarm sequence initiated.
Press the button and walk out. Press the button and walk out. And you'll hear it beep as it gives a timer. So you can walk out quietly, and then it starts in about 40 seconds or so. It has an introductory price of $129. In October, you can buy it in October. You may need several of these. Not necessarily just one, because it's radar.
Alarm is active now.
Okay, so the alarm is active. Now, notice I can move my hand here and it doesn't detect. Okay, now look at this. Look at this, guys. The alarm doesn't detect this. The reason is the piano is made of metal. So if you want to prevent your dog, from being detected, just put something metal on the bottom. So this is actually blocking. Yes, it is, Monkey Man. But if you go higher, it actually detects.
Alarm. Police alert.
So there's metal on the piano, so it stops it. Otherwise, it has a range about, I think the minimum range is 12 feet all around. And I'd say, in my experience, it works between 12 to 20 feet. It depends. Because the radar does bounce, and it actually may detect it even further. When they go lower, we go higher. It sends out a notification to your phone. Because it's radar, Monkey Man, it uses radar. It doesn't require any kind of subscription. You don't need a subscription for somebody to track. There's no installation. All you do is you plug it in. If you're not understanding what I'm giving you here, this does not require any setup. Plug it in, press the button,
Alarm sequence initiated now.
and leave, and watch your phone get there. I got a alarm notification on my phone, and that's it. And it doesn't call the police or anything. You call the police, but at least you got the alarm. Isn't that pretty cool? I mean, this is about, you call the police if you want. Call the police. Somebody's in your house and not supposed to be there. And by the way, I have a motion camera outside as well, which is like this. This is the motion camera.
Alarm is active now.
There's the motion camera. And this is wireless right now. Okay, so there's the motion camera I have, and I'm getting a notification right now that there's motion going outside. So, but it's not sending an alarm because it's outside. Can it activate a relay to turn on cameras or lights? Actually, it can, but I don't have it installed on this. But yes. That'll be a more expensive device, but yes, I can make that. I can make that. So yeah, and I have more sophisticated versions of this. Can you Can you tether LAN to a smartphone? What does that mean? That's called a hotspot. There's Uncle Joe. So this device
Alarm. Police alert.
is radar based. Okay, so there's no setup. You get this, and you plug it in. You put in your network, your Wi-Fi. If you want to Wi-Fi it, you can wire it. But you can just put the Wi-Fi on it, and then that's it. And you'll never have to do anything again. You can log into. There's an interface kind of like this, where you can change some of the settings, because you log into it on your network, and also that you get it on your the notifications on your BraxMe account. And you can also get the videos from the camera. So all this is the simpler one, because it doesn't really require anything. It's so simple. So this one I'll be selling at an introductory price of $129, and will be available on October 1. And then the camera I'll show you next week. Camera's ready too. Yeah, we are making these ourselves. So we are making this ourselves. So the camera is it's actually pretty sophisticated. It's fisheye lens, 175-degree coverage, day and night with infrared, HD quality video, actual motion detect. It uses an infrared sensor, and built-in storage. All of that included in the camera, which you can access from any device in your house. And it can be installed wireless or wired. Okay, so that's the camera portion of it, and it can be mounted on anything that uses a standard camera mount. So if you the only mount you need is a standard camera mount. So you can find this on Amazon. So any kind of camera mount will mount it. I can't sell you the mount because I don't know how you want to mount it. Okay. How do you know your thing isn't chipped? I mean, for somebody who's already chipped, operandi, you're already chipped, so you know, and anything is possible with MEMS. So these devices are not open to the internet. They cannot be accessed from the internet. That's part of what I promise you. They cannot be accessed from the internet. They have no port forwarding, no open ports. They cannot be controlled from the internet. So somebody can't go in there and from the internet turn on your camera and see what's going on in your house or outside of your house, or take a hold of your photos. It's not going to work. So that's now if you use Ring or Simply Safe or one of these, no, it's a within your network. There's a website. It's not SSH. You access it through a website. So you just access the IP address and you're gonna get a website. It's very simple. And then you'll get an interface like that. This is not it. This is the router, but similar. And then you can control some of the settings. And if you are on your app, BraxMe, you can click on that button that says Manage Devices on the top, and that'll bring up the interface to change the setting. So if you have a BraxMe account, you just click on the top Manage Devices, then you can change the settings. Like when you want the alarm to go off, you might say, don't turn on the alarm between 6 and 10 p.m. So you can put like a clock time on it, and auto restart the alarm if it triggers, send it to the cloud or not. All of those settings, your time zone, all that's all set up. What's the name of the device? Because if you have several of these, you're going to give it different names, and you set that up on a website. So it's very, very simple. Very, very simple. So this is made to not make any kind of complicated alarm system. The simpler it is, the easier it is to use. So this one, what does it take? You walk out of the house,
Alarm sequence initiated now.
press the button. That's all you have to do. A thief cannot turn it off. Once the radar triggers, it's going to trigger. There's nothing to stop it. Okay? Since it's not reporting to the police, it reports to your phone. You know, if it triggers, then it triggers. If it triggers while you're while you're in the house, then you don't have to worry about it. Because it's not going to go have a blaring alarm But if a bad guy approaches and triggers it and it shows up on your phone, then you can say, somebody is robbing me right now. And you can actually
Accepted now.
you can actually put it in silent mode so it doesn't beep or doesn't have any kind of voice. You can have it do a voice, or you can have it not do anything. In which case then somebody who robs your house will not know, and then you can actually send somebody over. Okay?
Alarm. Police alert.
Again, it can be blocked by metal. That's why on the piano it's not sending out the signal. Custom MP3 to the robber would be legit. Yeah, I can actually do that. But too much work right now to, I can customize it for you, I suppose. But too much work to deal with mass production product, because this is like mass produced. So, and I mean mass produced in a tiny way, because we can only make so many of these. So I can't make that many of these. These are all handmade electronics. We make our own circuit boards. Everything is made. The case is made here. Everything is made here. The case says, what does the case say? It says BRAC Secure Net. That's what the device says, BRAC Secure Net. Handmade in America, yes. Software made not in China, but in America, by me, the privacy guy. So I'm going to sell it for an introductory price, very little profit of $129. I will probably have to increase the price. I can't make money at $129, but I'm going to sell the first batch at $129. The camera is $249. But these guys, I'm with very little profit. We're sending them out. I mean, it takes a bit of time to make these. There's a full Raspberry Pi inside. So, if you actually go look at the parts that are inside and you do the math, and you'll say, how does he make zucking money from this? I don't. Very little money. So anyway, but I figure people may want multiple of these. This is not a device that you may only want one of. If you buy one of these, then you might say, well, can I have two of these? So it may be that the average home may require two. Especially if you have a front door and a back door. It can cover two big areas. It's like it can cover a whole, it's radar. So you don't actually have to put alarm. Alarm systems are very difficult to install, because you're going to put alarm sensors in each window and each door. This doesn't require any of that, since you just cover by radar. So it has broad coverage, and because it's 360 degrees, you don't have to aim it at any particular place. Just put it somewhere where the radar can cover a large area, and you are done. So that's why it's kind of a neat kind of invention. So that's the plan. So hopefully, thank you, Eagle Source. Thank you for your support. So anyway, this will be available very soon, in a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, and we don't have that many of these yet. So if you want to be on the batch that gets them, just send me a message on Brax. If you want me to reserve one for you, otherwise, you may not get the supply. So there's a lot of you already that have pre-made. If I know how many people are wanting to get it soon, then I can kind of track production. As it is right now, we have a lot of people have already committed to buying these. So we have a fairly good number of these already. I can't say pre-sold, because I'm not taking any money, but at least reserved. So if you want one, let me know so that I know how many to produce. I think we are shooting for initial batch of 100. We're shooting for initial batch of 100. They're very hard to make. Thank you, Operandi. Thank you. Anyway, back to our topic. back to our topic. You can use this in an apartment very easily. In fact, you can put it in a room and say, I want to know if somebody enters my room. And it could be a silent alarm. Again, this doesn't have to be any kind of loud alarm. You can actually set it to be silent. So anyone that approaches a certain room, you might actually, it might actually trigger something. So, for example, if somebody approaches my computer, without them even having to touch my computer, I can get alerted. So that's why it's pretty nifty. So the software's made by me. This case is as you can see, it's customized here. It says BRAC SecureNet on it. Everything here is customized. I have it plugged in to a loudspeaker so you can hear in the broadcast. It has a tiny little speaker on it, like it does have a speaker. There's the speaker holes. It does have a speaker inside, and so you can hear it talk. But you can actually put it on a loudspeaker if you want to hear it loud. So, in which case I did that for you here for the broadcast. So a apartment dweller, yes, with one door, easy. Just put it in the middle of the room. Hit it before you walk out. Are the LEDs optional? The LEDs are not optional. Would you like me to turn off the LEDs as well? Would you like a switch to turn off the LEDs? I could program it to do that. I don't know why you would want that. If you wanted like completely stealthy, yes, I could. It would be great as a room monitor for caregivers, it seems. Oh, if you want to make sure the caregiver doesn't walk into private rooms. Yes. Yes, you can see there's a lot of things you can do with this. It's actually quite interesting. So Doug, yes, I could now that what's your use case for turning off the LEDs? You want it stealthy? If you want to turn off the LEDs, yes, I can turn off the LEDs except for booting. You may want to see that it boots. And I can turn on the LEDs when the alarm is set, but don't show any LEDs during the alarm. I can do that. Don't show LEDs when the alarm is firing. Yes, I can do that. Just a dark mode option. Yes, yeah, but you want to see that it's operational. So yes, I can do a dark mode option. Yes. There's an LED that's constantly lit though because it's a Raspberry Pi. So there's a tiny light. There are lights inside that I can't turn off, but it won't flicker. It's constant. I can't because some of the other parts in here have lights on them. They're not the LEDs. They're not my LEDs, but they're part of the. Like there's an amplifier LED and an LED for the Raspberry Pi. So I can't turn those. Well, maybe I can, but I'm not sure I know how to turn off the LED on the amplifier. I don't know if I don't know if the program makes that available. So that I can't tell you. So, okay, I will consider that, Doug, and make sure that it runs on USB 5 volts. No, it does not run on USB 5 volts. It runs on micro USB 5 volts, meaning USB batteries, so placement independent. Yeah, you could do that. Yeah, if you want to power it with micro USB 5 volts, yes, you could do that. Correct, Fuhr Lutzi. So if you don't want to have power on it or leave it outside, but it does need Wi-Fi access though, so it got to be near enough to get Wi-Fi. So if you're a caregiver with a dependent in your house, one could use it to identify if someone went outside for residents, for instance, older care, dementia. Oh, that's a little different case. Okay. Yes, Twitty. Yeah, a friend of mine actually a friend of mine is taking care of his parents who are much older, like in their 90s, and they have dementia. And yes, and you know, they will just wake up in the middle of the night and go outside. Yeah, yeah. So yes, that's another use case. Yes. So this is it's uh, so in theory, this could be mounted anywhere, even outside. It This version is blocked by glass. So this version is blocked by glass. So you couldn't like put it by the window, a glass window. There's a version that uses infrared that could. So depending on the use case, I could sell a infrared version of this that you can actually mount on a window, and this actually will go through a wood door. So it will actually go through wood. So if you put this very near a door, it will actually track somebody walking near the door. So let's say you put it on the floor in a corner near the door. If somebody approaches the door, the radar will spot them. With a glass shelf block pets, it may, mad cow. Yes, it may. And if not, then just put foil on the bottom to be sure. Metal will block it. You could also redirect it with foil, or anything metal. So if you block certain parts of this with metal, it's not going to take a signal in that direction. So if I put metal on the back, it's actually not going to. Oh, Roberto, thank you, my friend, thank you. If you put any kind of metal on either side of this and at the bottom, you will direct the radar in one direction. And they can be, household products. They don't have to be foil. Any kind of household product can actually block it. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Roberto. Good to see you, my friend. How's your crypto activities? Crypto's gonna recover again. It's stalled right now, and it's gonna keep going again, I think. So, hello. Found your channel on Twitch a few minutes ago and came here. Salute to you for caring about privacy online. CJ Almighty. Well, thank you for finding me on Twitch. Nobody watches me on Twitch because I don't talk to anyone on Twitch. So glad to see you that you found it. And yes, please watch me on YouTube, not on Twitch. I am not monitoring comments on Twitch. I'm only monitoring comments on YouTube and on Periscope. So it's a great time to accumulate. Well, it went down to 9,400. So if you didn't buy then, I don't know what to tell you. There's like multiple opportunities that's coming up. It keeps dropping down a little bit, and then you get a chance. So for sure, Brax man, good to see you, Roberto. Are you going to be shifting to YouTube as well? Very hard to get a YouTube channel going, Rob. Very, very hard to get YouTube running. So I'm glad my channel is actually starting to move, but it took a while. So there you go, Roberto. So see you back on Brax as well. Don't disappear from us because we can talk more on Brax. So anyway, going back to what we're talking about with the Wi-Fi problem. At the moment, the solutions to the Wi-Fi problem are very, very limited. Unless you can get a device that is much older. Now, I believe that the old Blackberries, they're still broadcasting because they have Wi-Fi. So any old device, even old devices, newer than 2007, would be broadcasting MAC addresses. But I heard that some Blackberries are actually not transmitting the pinging unless you are looking for a hidden SSID or hidden network. So that's what I hear, is that a BlackBerry, even the new ones, apparently do not transmit a MAC address probe unless you are in hidden network. And that's the way they should program all of these. So this cannot be verified on a new one, but apparently this is true up to version 10 of BlackBerry OS. So that would bring it to 2013 models of BlackBerry. So 2013 and beyond may be more protected than the average iPhone and iOS. And if you have an older BlackBerry, it may be transmitting less of these pings. It may not be broadcasting your MAC address as often, if at all. So that's the research from some years back. So I don't know. So it seems like if as you know, for some of you, I've been recommending that you get if you can't afford a Librem 5, I've recommended to some of you to get a BlackBerry Bold 9900. And as it turns out, that's actually quite a good suggestion, because as it turns out, the BlackBerry Bold and even up to the 10, which is the following year, models, the Z30 and the Passport, that those models, a touch phone version and prior, actually do not ping your MAC address unless you're looking for a hidden network. That is very, very interesting to note. But if you are telling me that your Android is better than your iPhone, I want to make sure you understand that the Android is pinging your MAC address a lot more frequently than iOS. So if you're saying here that, hey, my Android is safer than an iOS phone, as some people have claimed, then I'm saying that's pretty zucked up, because, clearly your MAC address is being announced much more frequently, sometimes multiple times a second, with an Android. So let me just see your comments here. It's definitely a challenge. I will definitely chat with you on Brax. Your stream layout looks great. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. So that kind of tells you that what is our solution to this. So pretty much your desktops and laptops all have built-in Wi-Fi, so they're going to track you. Now, I want to make sure you understand this, that although your MAC address is being announced by your Wi-Fi, the MAC address of your Ethernet port, meaning the hardwire Ethernet, that is not announced anywhere. That's not broadcast on radio. Let me repeat. A wired connection to the network does not announce the MAC address. So if you're you have to think of the use cases here, because of course a laptop has a Wi-Fi and wired. The Wi-Fi is being announced. The wired is not being announced. It doesn't really help you because it has both, since you can't turn off the Wi-Fi unless you go into your motherboard and go, destroy the Wi-Fi chip. Maybe that's what you have to do. But I have no way to turn that off. If I have a way to turn off the Wi-Fi, by switch, I would, but there's no way to do it. So please do not do things think like airplane mode is going to do anything for you, because it does not. Airplane mode does not do anything. I had a laptop once, trying to remember what the brand was. I think it was a Toshiba. I had a laptop with an actual Wi-Fi switch. And I'm trying to remember if that was hardware switch or not, or is it software switch. It has to be a hardware switch. But I do recall some time ago, long time ago, I had a computer with a hardware switch for a Wi-Fi. So if you want to get a computer that has hardware switches for Wi-Fi, I believe the Librem 13, Librem 15, the desktop versions of Purism, and then a company called System 76. Now I don't know if System 76 has a hardware switch, but I'd be interested as time goes by to see more devices with hardware switches, so we can turn this all off. So, or build your own desktop. Some of you may want to, build your own desktop and make sure you buy a desktop without any Wi-Fi on it. But the problem is we are all enamored by all these portable devices. Every one of these has Wi-Fi, so all of these are broadcasting your MAC address. I'm going to tell you the story again that I told you yesterday that you may have missed, and I'm going to make sure you keep this in your head. I can make a device that can listen to Wi-Fi and listen to the MAC addresses. I already told you that. That is a feature that you can use using tools on Kali Linux, for example, or just even the Raspberry Pi operating system. If I know what the MAC addresses are that I found in your property, I will know what devices you have, because each MAC address has the vendor name. So I can do an automatic lookup and say, okay, I see all the devices in your house. Before I even walk in your house, I can pre-list all the devices and see, okay, you, hello, son. Hello, son. So I can actually go near your house, stand there, let my sensor do the work, and say, oh, you have 3 iPhones, 2 Androids, a smart TV made by Philips, a smart TV made by LG. You have a smart refrigerator. You have Alexa Echo. You have Ring. You have this camera system from this manufacturer. You have 2 Raspberry Pis. I can actually tell all that simply by looking at the vendor code of the MAC addresses that it finds at your house. From a spying point of view, talk about profiling. Can you imagine a thief walking by a house and doing a MAC? Fortunately, thieves are not that smart. But let's say a thief walks around with this device and say, I want to see what devices I'm going to rob from this house, but I want to make sure they have anything worth stealing. So you have the sensor, telling me how many computers you have and all that on the house before you walk in. So the MAC address is the vendor ID and then the unique address. So the VPN router that I'm selling, you can spoof the MAC address on that so they don't know what the device is. So this can spoof the MAC address. So anything that I write with my own software, I can spoof the MAC address too. But I have to think of what to do. In fact, that's one of the reasons I'm not rushing the alarm system, because I want to spoof the MAC address to this so they don't know. So let's say that you are running Ring. So one of the companies that want to sell you alarm systems, which you think is, the greatest thing, are these battery-operated Rings. Rings, cameras at your door, and Ring cameras mounted outside, and so on. And you're saying, well, what about this Ring thing? Well, I'm going to tell you something about this Ring thing, okay? First of all, Ring is battery-operated, meaning you have to go change the batteries on that manually. Second, Ring is attached to Amazon Echo. That's how it's controlled, with Amazon Echo. Ring then sends the pictures and your video, I don't know if it does video, but it sends your pictures to Amazon. Ring is an Amazon company. So now you have not only sent your voice to Amazon, you're sending your pictures to Amazon, where they are already masters at facial recognition. They have the facial recognition software right built into Amazon AWS. So if you want to use that, that's fine. Enjoy that. Now, Uncle Duke, now, can I break your ring before I attack your house? Yes, and that's the fun part. Yes. I could jam your ring device. I could jam your ring so it doesn't take a picture. And it doesn't talk to your Alexa Echo. And Alexa doesn't report anything to Amazon. I could jam that. Okay? FYI. We'll leave it at that. That can be jammed. Smart TV. I don't have a smart TV because the CIA revealed that they can listen in to what you say near a smart TV. Uncle Duke. So my guns don't connect to Wi-Fi. There you go, Doug. That's good. Didn't someone want to sell you guns with like sensors on it? No thanks. When the S hits the fan and there are zombies and we have to share weapons, I can't have a weapon that's only triggered only when I touch it because, zombies. You got to get the next gun available to take care of the zombies. Yeah, your Amazon profile is truly complete. So I'm suggesting to you that please think of a different security system than using Ring like this. Brax Secure Net. Brax Secure Net. And this is the actual box that you will see. This is kind of a defect box. That's why I use it. And that starts the sequence. And then in 40 seconds, the radar is active. And it actually gave me just notification now that says it was enabled. So, and it's going to start pinging for 40 seconds. And so you have all that time to walk out the door. And you can also have it auto reset. So you could also set it so it doesn't ping an alarm while you're at home during your normal hours at home. So if you're home from 6 to 1 a.m., you don't want the alarm to go off between 6 to 1 a.m., you can actually set that in the device. Okay? So now here, this is blocked by metal. The piano is metal. The radar doesn't detect anything underneath, so pets. It doesn't detect pets. But it will detect it up once I take it out of the metal. So there is some way to shape the detection signal with metal objects around it. For those of you who have pets, like Kathy, did you see that, Kathy? Did you see that explanation? Okay, so the alarm can be, if you have pets, just put something metal like aluminum foil underneath, and then the radar will direct itself upwards. Okay? So, like Kathy, this piano is metal.
Alarm sequence initiated.
This piano is metal, so it doesn't detect when it starts. You can see it doesn't detect anything down below, which may be a problem. So you need to direct it somewhere, like towards the door or wherever you want to direct it. But you can direct it. My pig piano is wood. Kathy, there's no such thing as a piano. Sorry, signal dropping. Sorry, signal dropped there. Signal dropped. Okay. Kathy said her piano is made of wood. Kathy said her piano is made of wood. The last time they made a piano made of wood may have been there were those harpsichords in the 1600s or 1700s. Okay, there is no piano made from the 1800s on that is not made of metal. Come on, Kathy. There is no piano made that is not metal. Okay, pianos are made of iron. How many devices need? It depends on how many entrances, but it covers everything. Windows, any, because radar. So I'm gonna. It depends on your house. For my house, the way it's, because I have an open plan. My house is an open layout. I'm gonna say probably max of 2 in my house. Max of 2. I have a wooden piano tool. Mozart. So, yeah, in my case, I have a camera outside. So part of the system is optional system is a camera. So I have a camera outside, and then the sensors.
Alarm. Police alert.
And this is radar, so it covers a fairly wide area. Might be lots of iron too. Well, the iron must not be blocking this. If the iron is wherever it is, that's not an issue. The iron, it's once the radio waves go out, it doesn't matter if there's iron over there. The thing is, there can't be iron next to it if you want the signal to go out. Yeah, these units are going to be $129 temporarily. That'll be the introductory price. So likely they will go up in price, but I already said $129, so I'm going to stick to it. So this is $129 for these, for each of these, and then which leaves very little profit, and then the camera is $249. So that's the plan right now. The camera is very sophisticated, got lots of parts in there. So the parts are very expensive. So the parts of the camera is up there. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there. Some little custom parts, fish eye lens, IR, night day, HD, storage, S flash card. Right. So that's the plan. Some of you, if you're living in an apartment, you may not need a camera, but you can certainly also use a camera indoors. I mean, although it's a outdoor camera, nothing really stops you from using it indoors. Just mount it on it just needs a mount that's a camera mount, and they sell those little ones even in the house. So if you want to mount the camera in the house, you can do so. And you sold it's okay in 110-degree weather. Yeah, it should be okay in 110-degree weather. Yes, that's within the range of the specs. Yeah, it should be. Although I probably should sell you a white case if it's going to be in outside. If it's going to be outside, you definitely do not want the black case. So I'm not going to, at the moment, the camera, I don't have a case yet for the camera because we're modifying it. But the camera case is black and white. The front portion of it is white. But if you're in Arizona, maybe, it should always be white. So depending on your area. So what is that extensive money? Or red brick color. Well, I only have primary colors. Yes, it can be red. I can actually customize the color of the base color is standard, just base. I can't say, it's this variation of pink. I don't have that. But I have primary colors, red, green, yellow, black, white. I can do any of those, gray. And we can custom print it if you want it to be in a different color, including these. But these are currently in the batches is in black. So if you want it in yellow, white, gray, we have those. So we have those. So just tell me if you want it in a particular color. Otherwise, it's going to come out in black. for the indoor one. Okay, just so FYI. So anyway, I hope you learned something tonight, and I'm actually interested in building. I was talking to you about finding some sort of sensor to spot MAC addresses of people approaching my house based on MAC address, and that is an interesting little project, to be honest with you. And I would actually like to do that. I can make a Raspberry Pi that can track MAC addresses. And can you imagine the spy capability for each of you to actually be on the offense, where you can actually be the one to track MAC addresses rather than be the victim? We can actually turn you into, give you a little toy where you can track a MAC address. I can make another device, another Raspberry Pi device that does that. Does signaling the alarm to the phone work in Europe? Yes, it works everywhere, Fuhr Lutzi. It's an app. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's an app. Apps work anywhere. Apps work anywhere. So if you have an app, then you download the app, you're going to get a notification. So why, Kathy? What does the why apply to? It sounds interesting. So anyway, I got so much to do that I got to put it on the list, but I'm starting to research that. And I'm even thinking, if you have a Librem 5, wouldn't it be nice to have a utility on the Librem 5 to use the Librem 5 to spy on people by MAC address? I mean, when we want to be on the offense once in a while, it's all defense. It's crazy. I want to, know all the MAC addresses around me. So you can do it now, but you need to be kind of a computer nut, like a hacker type, to know how to use command line interfaces for this. It's kind of difficult. Wouldn't it be nice if it's all organized and with a user interface, so you can actually control the MAC addresses in some organized way, kind of a nice little detector. Okay, that is so awesome. Can you imagine, by the way? Something I'm going to tell you. I actually was planning on building and selling a bug detector. I was planning on building a bug detector. Why do I need to build a bug detector when I can find the MAC addresses of all the bugs in your sucking house, since they're all Wi-Fi? Let me repeat that. If you go to a Airbnb and they have a hidden camera, it's going to be on sucking Wi-Fi with a MAC address. The MAC address will announce itself, and you will now know what the MAC addresses are inside an Airbnb. Just a thought. So I'm just giving you ideas of something that I have in mind. And this is all software. The hardware is just a Raspberry Pi. This is all software. I can build it for you all in software, proving to you how MAC address spying is occurring, and we can use it to our advantage. So if they're going to spy on us, we'll spy on them. Do the reverse. Okay, so there you go. We can spot, again, I can walk to any place. If I have the hardware, I can actually spot, I can send the data to an app, so you can manipulate the data on your phone. I can even do that. Send the data of the MAC addresses to an app, send it, and then monitor it on your phone in an app. Isn't this fun? I don't know how long it will take me to do such a thing, but I'm starting to research it. I'm starting to research this. So there's so many things I can build. I'm, as you guys know, I'm quite capable. There's almost nothing I can't do. Might as well put my ham license to use. I have a ham license. I should know our radios. Might as well put it to use. So I'm gonna that's if there's a market for that, make an income from building these products. Time for a new topic, if not I can ask time for a new topic. If not, I can ask on Brax. What is the new topic you want, Kathy? Since I'm closing out here, you can tell me now. What is the new topic? By the way, my topics are based on response on YouTube. So the reason I focus on these topics is because I'm finding that this attracts the people on YouTube. So certain topics don't get any attention. So if I talk about Facebook, I get no response from YouTube. YubiKey, is that a new YubiKey? 5CI? Did you watch my other YubiKey now? So is that a new YubiKey? 5CI? Yeah, but why does I have one of the most popular videos on YubiKey on YouTube, and YubiKey does not reach out and say, "Hey, here, test out these new YubiKeys." I have to buy all this with my own money. It's like crazy. Huge deletable files eating up my hard drive. I used to know where to go to delete huge cab files, etc., but I forget where they are. I was watching your video, Intel Elephant in the Room, when I realized you were going live. There you go, Uncle Duke. Yeah, so well, that was actually a live stream, Uncle Duke. Okay, so YubiKey 5CI. Yeah. So anyway, the YubiKeys, I'm having to buy them. This is why I don't like review any more YubiKeys. It's like, come on, man. YubiKey, Yubico. Send me some units to review. So people have bought YubiKeys based on my review, even though it's not 100% positive. So, but I can't everything I review I pay for, and but once it's popular, you would. Is there no 2FA for mobile without using a Zoogle app? No, and lighten up. The whole point is that you're using Google Voice. That's the trickery there, to use Google Voice. Otherwise, who's going to offer the phone for you? There's a topic. I actually want to discuss this, but since I only have 2 broadcasts a week, I didn't get a chance to talk about it. But I'm going to say something to many of you. A lot of you hate Google and hate Facebook. And if you noticed, I am not attacking Google as often as I've been attacking Facebook. And there's a reason for that. And not because I'm on YouTube. I don't really care. I'm going to say it as it is. Thank you, Twitty. Thank you. Okay, Google is changing. Thank you, Twitty. Google is changing. Google finally realized, and they actually announced this, that their creepy model does not have longevity. Google is realizing that what is the oops for? That you sent it twice? Thank you for sending it twice. So Google is changing, and it may take 2-3 years before they can actually make the change. But they're removing the tracking. They're removing the tracking, fingerprinting. They're removing browser fingerprinting. They're removing the personalized ad tracking where they track the ad to each person. They're removing that. So for that reason, yes. I don't have a choice, Cactus Sparkle. I got to reach people, and where am I going to reach people? It would be nice if I can be discovered just by hiding somewhere. But I can't, so I got to go somewhere. And the only place to be visible is YouTube, because YouTube is the second largest search engine. So anyway, Google is changing, and in a few years, maybe only Facebook may be stuck with its own way, its spying ways. It may be Facebook that's going to be left alone, because Facebook doesn't want to change. There is no sign at all that Facebook wants to change its ways. Google just announced that they will change. They want to adopt the DuckDuckGo model for tracking ads. They don't want to do what they're doing now. They said it went too far. Google actually said in a statement that the current tracking has gone too far. It's gotten too creepy. They actually said that. So yes, it seems to me like Zuck is the one that does not want to change, and as Google is finally realizing that its days are numbered with the old system, and so I expect some changes. In fact, some of the changes are already here. When you go on Google and you do Google activity controls, you can actually stop it from tracking what you watch on YouTube. So I am actually liking that it doesn't, it doesn't recommend, if let's say I watch gun videos, it's not gonna, I don't want it to recommend gun videos to me, which means it's profiled me. So when I go to YouTube, I get nothing recommended. It just recommends the usual, cute pets and little homes and things like that. Okay, so I never get any kind of, unless I'm subscribed to something. The subscription, it will feed me. Other than that, if I'm not subscribed to it, I don't get anything recommended to me, and that's perfect. So I don't want recommendations on, let's say, political videos, gun videos, or any kind of political kind of topic. Yes, and Google activity controls, I paused location tracking and all that. So there's none of that data that shows up on there. It doesn't mean they're not tracking you. They are on Google Ads. Google Ads is still tracking you, but that is the one that they're changing. So Google Ads will now be part of this system where they will track you less, and that's what I'm hoping for. So I don't think Zuck is 40, no. Tiny homes, yeah, those cute little videos on cute little homes off grid on YouTube. Tiny homes, they're nice. I like them. I like those videos. Because it makes me think of going off the grid. And like, will I really ever live in a small house? Probably not, but it's kind of nice to look at the video. Zuck is a millennial. So that puts him at a certain age, yes. So diversify your behavior. DDG Bing. Well, Doug, yeah, that's actually not a bad idea. Do certain kind of searches on Bing, do certain kinds of searches on Google, and then do all your normal stuff on DuckDuckGo. That actually makes sense. Disinformation. It's called disinformation, not diversify. Disinformation. My Little Homestead series. I love those videos. Do you have a video for how to prevent tracking suggestions? Do you have a video for how to prevent tracking I don't, but I'm telling you how it is. Go to Google Activity Controls. Just type that on your browser and say Google Activity Controls, and there you have it, right there. So I figured most people know it already, so I didn't make a video, but that's how you do it. Don't forget to search for some really random stuff to keep them guessing. Small house with a big piano. Yes, Starlight. So Tor for everyday use. Tor is inconvenient to use every day, as you know, because it's slow. And the captcha codes. But so I don't use Tor every day. I use well, not I may use it every day, but I may not use it for all searches. I use Tor for specific things. So I say I got to search for something political. Okay, I'll go Tor. I want to search for something about three-letter agencies. Tor. I want to go to WikiLeaks. Tor. That kind of thing. Okay. So start page is fine. If you want to use start page, use it. I was using start page for a long time, but I didn't like the captcha codes. So start page is too inconvenient for me. So start page would be my preference because it actually uses Google. So the Google search on start page, the search on start page is actually Google, so that makes it better from a results point of view. But the captcha codes are a pain. So start page using Google, they're restricted by Google. That's why they got to use captcha codes. So because of that, I said, hell with this. Let me just use DuckDuckGo. DuckDuckGo has improved, compared to the old days. It's actually pretty good now. So I'm happy with DuckDuckGo. So I'm if I'm gonna do doxing kind of things where you have to go do some really deep search, I will probably go use Google because you don't get all the results on DuckDuckGo or on Start Page. So I would use Google if I'm gonna dox, if I do such a thing. Okay, so just an FYI. So anyway, I hope you got scared enough by my broadcast today, and I hope people don't come around and say, "Yes, I got a secure Android. My Android is secure." I'm gonna say, "Zuck you, mother zucker." It is not secure unless you tell me you have a zucking hardware switch for your Wi-Fi, which does not exist on any Android device or iOS device. Doesn't exist. So if you learn anything from my broadcast tonight, it shows you how vulnerable we are because of the zucking radios on these things. The Wi-Fi radio, the baseband radio, the Bluetooth radio, and GPS, all zucking us up on this, and RFID radio, and infrared, all on this zucking device, the spy brick. So I checked my setting. It's not called Google settings. Oh, it is. Google activity controls. Okay, there you go. Is there a free site to find phone numbers I lost? I don't know, Kathy. I'm sure there is something. I just don't know what it is. No, I don't know, Kathy. I'm sure there is, but I'm not an expert at that. So anyway, thank you for watching, my friends. And I'm busy. I'm only releasing one video a week plus the 2 live because we're very busy producing these. So if you are interested in these, and depending on which one you're interested in, if you're interested in the camera, I'll show you the camera next week, or the alarm. Let me know so that I can see if we have enough units. So I'm trying to meet the demand by making sure we have enough units. So, how many I'm building, because I'm only pre-building so many. So it makes me want to buy a roll of Faraday fabric and start making wallets and pouches. You want to sew it? You have to put a zipper or something made of metal. So, do you like Lineage OS? I talk about that in the Android rooting your Android video. Okay, extensive money. Go watch the video rooting Android to remove Google. which was only a video I made a week ago. Go Rice Girl. Go Rice Girl. So if you are interested in the alarm, if Go Rice Girl is interested in the alarm, anybody interested in the alarm, the Brack Secure Net alarm, please pass me a message so I know that I have enough inventory. So
Alarm sequence initiated now.
okay, so if you're interested, just pass me a note saying yes, I'm interested in the alarm or the camera or both or how many, so that I can count, because we're going to release this on October 1, and it's a radar alarm. Go Rice Girl. It's going to fire in a moment here. All you do is leave it in your house or apartment, set it, press the button before you leave, and it's a radar-based personal alarm. So it actually senses movement in a zone of around 4 meters, 4 to 5 meters all around it. And if it senses any kind of movement, it fires up an alarm,
Is active now.
and it goes on your phone. So it sends an alarm on your phone. So right now,
Police alert.
like that. This one is going to be $129 introductory price. So it's a radar-based alarm, all constructed here in America by me personally. These are all made in this house personally. Okay? So it's going to be $129 for that, and then $249 for the camera system, which has HD video like that. So I'll show you the camera when it's ready in a few days. The case. Camera's running every day, but I don't have the case is not final. I didn't want to show you what a non-final case. So the case will be finalized on Friday, and it's not connected to you do not. It's not accessible on the internet. They cannot be. It doesn't come with any Go Rice Girl. They're independent little products. The alarm is by itself. You can have as many alarms as you want. The camera is by itself. You can have as many cameras as you want. They're all independent little pieces. So you can say, I want 2 of these and 1 camera. It's probably a typical setup. And they're much more secure than any other option you will find out there. So anyway, that's a story. So I'm going to be trying to make a video about this probably as early as next week. I'm going to have to start making videos about this so you see what it's all about. But if you know what it is, I've demonstrated it so many times. For some of you already know, and you're interested in it, and you want to make sure that I have enough stock, just let me know, because I've already pre-reserved quite a few of these. So I don't want to run out. So if I know what the demand is, I'll make sure that we don't run out. Okay? Otherwise, they take a while to make. So if I don't have enough by a certain date, and it may take a while to produce. So, even these cases are 3D printed. You are not ghosted. Can you activate 2 boxes from one? No, but you press the button and you can have it on auto start. So meaning you can set it to press the button only once ever on a boot, and then you don't have to set it again. And then you can say block. Don't fire an alarm between 6 p.m. and 12 p.m. or whatever time blockage you want. Then it won't send an alarm during those times, and because you're home, and then so then you don't have to do anything. The alarm will just keep going on forever. Okay, so that's the story. So if you have any questions like that about how it actually operates, and if you want any minor changes I can make before I release the software, I can still do it. I have still the ability to make changes. Like somebody asked if I can turn off the LEDs so it doesn't signal you that the alarm is going on. I can do that. Okay? She is far away. Oh. Okay, so good night, guys, and then watch for my videos during the middle of the week. And thanks for watching.